Dear Foursquare, I know this may sting a little, but it's kind of time to say goodbye. I really enjoyed being the mayor of a few places, but now since I can't even check in and I already use Yelp, I find your service just a little bit redundant. Thanks for the memories, though. Sincerely, Geekazine. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers. Welcome to the 5-Minute Geek Smack Review, where we review products, we interview people, and of course, talk about current topics. If you got something that you want me to talk about, simply geekazine@gmail.com or Twitter me at Geekazine. Think magazine, put in a geek. It was John F. Kennedy who said, "Change is the law of life. Those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future." That's what Foursquare did. They changed. But did they change for the better, or did they miss on their future? I've been a loyal Foursquare user for many years now. Not only did I get some great perks as mayor of some locations, I could also look back at where I've been and what I've done. I could leave tips or get tips for friends, share photos, and more. It allowed me a way to remember the name of a restaurant I visited last in San Francisco, New York, or even right here at home. In May, the service added a new way to check in, and they called it Swarm. This brought a lot of confusion in the check-in because they put it in a completely different app, and sometimes you would check in on Swarm, and sometimes you would check in on Foursquare. There was lots of confusion why this went back and forth, but the big thing was they were killing the check-in on Foursquare. Last week, the new Foursquare app came out. What everybody was comparing to a Yelp-like experience, the app didn't add anything new. In fact, you could already rate your experience of a place on Yelp, in Facebook, on Google, and many other apps. So why would I want another app that does the exact same thing? Let's take a look at the separation of check-ins versus ratings. It seems this last year we've had a few apps break into two: Facebook and Messenger, Google and Hangouts, Path, and their messaging services are a few that come to mind. The idea of unbundling an app into two has advantages, including their own source code, so programs can do things that they couldn't do as an extension to the other app. But if nobody installs the new app or just uninstalls the old one, it doesn't matter how many new features it can have or have. Splitting something into two is possible, but very tricky. We haven't really seen it with the smartphone apps until now because they just haven't been around that long. But we have seen some company splits before. The most famous debacle split was when Reed Hastings tried to split Netflix into Qwikster. The idea that they could eventually sell their DVD mail rental side. Companies like DuPont, Kraft, Motorola, Sara Lee, and even the forced splits of Microsoft and AT&T show us the good and the bad reasons of why you should split a company into two. But can an app split into two and still stay on your smartphone or tablet? Gigaohm reported the other day that we might see lower install numbers simply because our smartphones are full. The average 16-gigabyte smartphone or iPhone has about 7 gigabytes for apps, and according to ComScore, 65.5% of owners are not adding any new apps these days. Apple's new iOS 8 might help a little bit with their new Swift programming language, which consolidates the code and therefore makes for a smaller app. That, or just one more reason to add more features to the app to keep it at its current install size. Let's say you're not teetering filling up that smartphone. Not everyone wants hundreds of apps on their devices, some that sit dormant for months at a time. In Foursquare's case, they just took out a reason why they were popular to begin with. That would be like if Dell was to stop selling PCs or Oscar Mayer was to stop selling hot dogs and go into a completely different market like cars or t-shirts. Better yet, it's like you were driving a car, you stopped on a dime and started to go in a completely different direction because you think the rainbow is now behind you. Foursquare CEO Dennis Crowley believes this split will be the right thing for their 5-year plan. But why didn't Swarm get the Yelp-like interface and Foursquare keep the check-in? Worse yet, there are a lot of people who want to just uninstall both apps and use Facebook check-in from here on in. I am one of them. And I've tried to use Swarm, with half the time getting issues of where I was in the world, not to be able to check in, or even having the app crash after I got all my posts ready to go. All Tech Considered noted Swarm as 2 out of 5 stars, and the hashtags KillSwarm and #HateSwarm are noting customers' disdain for the split. Some people felt like they put their heart and soul into the app and now can't do the one thing that they expected to. Foursquare can salvage their business model and still split things up. Putting the check-in back into the main Foursquare app is crucial for this. You could have secondary apps and triary apps as long as they talk with the original, and I don't have to log into every child app I install. That is, if I install it. What are your thoughts for splitting up? Did you load up Swarm? Have you taken both apps off your smartphone or tablet? Let me know. You can Twitter me over at Geekazine, Think Magazine, put in a geek, or geekazine@gmail.com is the email address. My name is Jeffrey Powers. Thanks a lot for watching. If you've got a product that you want me to review, or you got a topic that you want me to talk about, just let me know by Twittering me, by emailing me. And you can find me also on YouTube over at youtube.com/Geekazine. You guys, until next time, geek out.